to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Hi, John. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so tell us your history with Chowchilla, because you've been there for a long time. You've been mayor on and off for a while. Tell us your history.
I've been involved in Chowchilla my whole life. I grew up in Atwater, so Chowchilla was a hop, skip, and away in the county fair every year for 4-H and FFA. And then 22 years ago, 20 years ago, I met my wife, mother of my kids. She was from Chowchilla. We bounced around from Sacramento to Gustine, back to Chowchilla. And that's how I've been there. I've been there 22 years. I raised all my kids there. Been on the council for 14 years. I have 2 more years. I've been the mayor 3 times now.
Wow, how does that even work there? And why did you want to get into politics?
Why? Something I've always tried to raise my kids as to leave the place where you're at better than when you found it. You know, I was just one of, I guess I got from my grandparents, you know. Try to always make things better for whoever's around you. Never take it for granted that it's going to get better on its own. I tried to get on the planning commission. I was denied, and the mayor at the time asked me to run for council. And so I told him no, and then he said, yeah, you have to. I said, okay. So I've ran 4 times now, have not lost once in the city. Last June, I ran for supervisor, District 2 in Madera County. I didn't make that. The incumbent won. You have to get 50% plus 1 vote. He wound up with 52%.
That's how important it is to vote in local elections. I tell people that all the time, and that's a very good point.
Yeah, I only lost like by 20 votes, honestly.
That's why it's so important.
Nobody showed up to vote. Like 2,000 people voted, period.
Wow, how many people are in Chowchilla?
In Chowchilla, on the statistics, it says 17,000, but 8,000 of that's the prison. So they get counted in our population for tax reasons, because the county takes in taxes and Measure T money and that, and then it's divided by your population, how much the city of Madera gets, the county gets, and the city of Chowchilla gets out of that.
So why did you want to switch roles when you said you ran back in June?
I think it's time. You know, I've done as much as I can for the city, being just in the city limits. The county has much greater influence over what goes on, the bigger budgets, bigger responsibilities, and I just thought it was time for me to run. So
are you still going to be involved? Is this the last time you want to be mayor? What's your future going to be like?
In 2 years, in 2024, I mean, I'll have to run for council again. And then in 4 years, I'll run for supervisor again.
And you work with all these people that you ran against.
Oh, yeah. We're friends. It's a friendly rivalry.
That's interesting. How funny.
Yeah. It's such a small town that you can't really be mad at anybody for too long, you know. Either your kids are interacting, you're doing something, you're going someplace, you need a favor. You know, people don't stay mad too long.
So what are some of the changes that you've made since you've been there?
Some of the changes, when I first started back in 2008, was the recession. The city was on the verge of bankruptcy. We were talking about dismantling our police force and going to the sheriff. It was just a mess. Our meetings would go till 1, 2 in the evening, in the morning. People would come in, and we're very transparent, so we talk about everything out in the open. We don't hold anything back. Anybody can catch you anywhere. Being such a small town, a lot of people come to your house and want to talk to you. So that was the hardest part.
So everyone knows where you live?
Yeah.
That's fun. Wow.
Yeah, and the grocery store, you get caught in the grocery store, it takes you 20 minutes. You know, you can't go in and grab something and get out. Everybody wants to talk to you, and tell you their problems and ask you to fix this or take care of that. And you know, Chowchilla is very old school and neighborly, very small town, conservative. They have hometown values. It's changing like every other city. We have our growing pains, we have new people, we have crime. But the people in Chowchilla, and this is very rare, we passed a Measure N, a sales tax, 1% sales tax, only to be used for law enforcement and fire safety.
What does that mean?
Like when you purchase something, the state takes 8 cents on the dollar, 8%.
Okay.
But we added another penny on that just when you purchase things within our city limits. And then that money goes directly to a Measure N fund, which is spent only on safety.
Wow. So everybody voted yes on that?
83% of the people, and everyone was telling us, because it didn't pass in Fresno, they voted it down. Everybody's telling us we'll be lucky if we pass it, and we passed it by 83%, which everyone says is unheard of.
And that's going to keep everything going, so you don't have to dismantle the police force.
Right. No, we got through the bankruptcy. The city administration, not the council, but the administration, had cycled through quite a few people trying to get the right person that wanted to be in Chowchilla, because it's such a unique way of life. That's what they call Chowchilla, a unique way of life. That we finally found the right people that care enough and are willing to stay there and work hard. And we've changed everything, the whole city system, the whole atmosphere, everything's a much healthier place, and everybody that's there is working hard because they love the city.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what is it like having a prison there? Do some people get turned off by that, and they're like, even though it's all contained?
It's far enough away we really don't see it or hear about it. So originally when they contracted way back when, it was only supposed to be a women's prison. And they had 2 women's prisons, a maximum and a minimum. And then 2 years ago when they started closing all these prisons and getting rid of, letting people out of jail, they took one of the prisons and made it a men's prison. So now they have a men's and a women's prison out there.
And everything's running smoothly there? You don't have much to do with the comings and goings?
We don't have anything to do with that. It doesn't really affect the city other than the people that have moved into town to visit relatives and stuff that are out there for numerous years. Other than that, you wouldn't even know.
And then the big kidnapping that happened years ago. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that always stands out when I hear about Chowchilla. Right. What are some of the things that have come out of that experience? And I've met some of the people that were survivors of that event.
I've met quite a few of them. Different people affected them differently. My ex-wife and some of her siblings were supposed to be on the bus. They didn't get on the bus. Some of her best friends were on the bus and had very hard times with it. But overall, it's the city kind of wants to forget about it. And we dedicated our park to Ed Ray, the bus driver. I did that, I think, the first time I was mayor.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a really big...
Yeah, and then his family appreciates it. So we did that. And his son and grandkids all live in town, and they all, we know each other. And it was traumatic, and I couldn't imagine being on the bus, but it's not really anything that people talk about in town.
Well, and I mean, things about to change. First of all, that was back when we didn't even have crime like we have now. Yeah. And then second of all, I doubt Chowchilla was even prepared for they're like, what is happening?
No, yeah.
So I feel for like everybody that was even in charge or in law enforcement at that time, just because that had to be a challenge.
I couldn't imagine that, just the not knowing, And then when they finally got him out, and I hear 2 different stories from different people, but like I said, everybody tries to make the best of it and remember the best they can and move on. Some of the people have passed. The bus driver, Ed Ray, passed. So it's not anything that we celebrate. Or one of the family members wanted to donate money because they just got paroled, So they wanted to make amends, and the city said, no, nobody that was on the bus wants to have any kind of memorial from that. You know, we dedicated.
So one of the
park.
people that was the kidnappers wanted to make amends.
His family did, because he was trying to get out on parole. And 2 of them got out. I believe one's still in there, because he does not show any remorse, doesn't care, doesn't apologize. You know, I think it happened in '77, so that was quite a ways ago, and they spent a lot of time in prison.
So nobody wanted to take the money that they wanted
Yeah.
to. Wow.
You know, like Churchill is a very proud community.
Right. No, this is very interesting.
yeah.
What are some of the things that you want Churchill to be known for, that Churchill is known for, that we don't know about?
Just the hometown values. We have a great golf course. We have a number of restaurants you can come eat at.
So name some of the restaurants. Where should we be going?
Go to the Orchard Bar and Grill. You have Pedro's. We have Mario's. We have Casaro's Pizza. Pedro's More Than Pizza.
A lot of places. Those are a lot of good food.
Yeah. So it's a good place to live. It's quiet. We do get graffiti, but it's down within a day or two. You don't ever see anything that's trashy in town. Or we used to have a bakery. It was built in 1925. It just recently burnt a couple months ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad.
Well, that's where my ex-wife's family started that, and that's what I was doing. I was in the bakery, and then when we split, I moved on, and my daughter was living there, and she calls me at 1 in the morning and says the place is on fire, and so I rush over there, and the police had broken in and woke her up because somebody had called and said there's fire. So
Was it the machinery? Was it a machinery?
they don't know. It's an apartment upstairs. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, me too.
It was insured, right?
That's none of my business.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get personal with that.
No, that's the
My
excess.
family owns a bakery as well in Sanger, so that's
Okay.
my high was a personal
What
interest.
bakery?
Acmat crackers.
So it's bigger, yeah. I used to sell bakery products to all the donor shops and Hispanic bakeries from Chowchilla to Kingsburg. So I was wondering if I might have ran into them, but it sounds like it's bigger than my level.
No, but it's still small town family bakery trying to make it. And I know that fires happen, and I would think at one point it had burned years and years ago, and then they rebuilt. So, right now, because there's a lot of farmers in Chowchilla.
Lots.
And we kind of talked about the water situation. What's going on? Because I know a lot of people are not happy with what's going on in Madera. How has that
Right.
trickled into Chowchilla, and how are you guys handling that?
It's the same issue. Madera County is one big pot. You know, it's everything that happens to Madera County happens to Madera City and Chowchilla.
So it trickles.
Yeah, it's all interactive and interchanged. The white paper vote you're asking about, every landowner has one vote, and they're trying to create a tax to try to ensure that, say if you have a house or a small farm, that you have water, that you will be able to have a well drilled. When the drought started 3 or 4 years ago, you couldn't get a well drilled. There wasn't. People were coming from out of state to drill wells because there was just such a demand. If you had no water at home, you could ask for a well to be built. You can get a permit, and it still might take you 3 or 4 months to get your well drilled. So what they're trying to do now, and everybody agrees, the farmers, the county, the cities, all agree that there's a water shortage and we're in a crisis. But the farmers voted this last tax down. Basically, from what I talked to and understand, the money has an undiscretional pot where it goes to, and that means that whatever pet project somebody has can draw from that money. They want to guarantee that the money is going to go to wells and to help people that are in need, and not somebody's pet project to build another building, I don't know if you've been to Madera, but the county's building is brand new, the county courthouse is brand new, they're building another new structure. So a lot of the farmers don't mind paying the tax, and they're ready to pay it. They just want to make sure that it's going to the right place.
Well, I mean, okay, from what I was told, it was basically that so much water is needed to farm these crops that they have existing, and that if they exceed a certain amount, that they were going to get taxed, and there was an amount that they needed to. That's
right.
And this is from the farmers themselves that are telling me this. This is not.
It depends. Even within the farmers, there's two sides, two groups. Because basically, you have farmers that use groundwater only. Then you have farmers that have access to the water district water, which comes through the canals and comes out of Millerton. And you have a group that just gets canal water. So they're trying to tax the people that have pumps in the ground, and they're going to put meters on those pumps, and that's where the money's going to come from. So if you only have canal water, you don't have to worry about it. And it's not really fair to me, because everybody has to survive. And what they're doing right now is they're cutting down. They're only getting like 25% of the canal water that they would have got before. So they're going to have to let their ground fallow. They're not going to be able to operate that. And to me, if the state or the county, whoever wants to do it, if they're asking you to take away 25% of your land and not farm it, then they need to take a 25% cut in their pay. When the city in Chowchilla, when we went through the recession and we were on the verge of bankruptcy, everybody took a furlough day. Everybody from the police, the fire department, they took a Friday off, so that was 25% of their pay that they lost. And so the council decided to give back their pay for a whole year, because we didn't feel it was right to ask everybody else to sacrifice. We only get $300 a month. It's not like Fresno or anything. But we just gave that back and said, when things are better, then we'll all get paid.
That's a really nice gesture. Yeah. See, these are things we don't always hear about. That's why I'm glad that you're here today to explain these things.
Like I said, Chowchilla is different. We're all voted to the council. There's 5 council members. 3 are voted 1 year, and then 2 years later, the other 2 seats are voted on. And then as you're in the council, you get cycled through as mayor. So you get on, and then you'll become mayor pro tem, and then you can become mayor. So it just rotates, and everybody has 1 vote, gets paid the same. You don't get any extra for being mayor or not being mayor.
So what are some things that you want to see change? You know, you said you wanted it to be better.
Chowchilla?
Yeah, you want to leave it better than you started. You said some of the things you changed. What are the next couple of years that you plan to do?
We've done quite a bit. We actually are bringing in AutoZone distribution center. So we're bringing in 300 new jobs.
Wow, that's really cool.
We've added 1 water tank and a solar system to supply it. We're adding a 2nd water tank to keep the water pressure throughout the summer, because we were having problems with water pressure dropping. You know, we have a great big Save Mart, and we have the golf course on the other side. So when everybody was coming home 5 and 6 at night, they're all jumping in the shower, and
at the same time,
and all the refrigeration at Save Mart was, the alarms were going off because there wasn't enough water pressure to keep all that going. So we added the water tank, we add some new wells. The thing that I would like to see, and the thing that I've been most involved with in Chowchilla, is the youth activities. Right now, when we moved there, my kids are growing up, they had a summer theater, they had things to do. And then even before that, when I'd come visit as a child, they had the skating rink, they had a movie theater, a bowling alley. Now all that's gone. It's just, nobody wants to invest that kind of money to do it.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people have to go out of town to entertain their kids, and you know, it's hard.
How did we lose all of that? And
just time. People have aged out who own these places. Didn't want to upkeep them. They've sold them off. Developers have bought the land. You know, it's just, land before the recession in Chowchilla was extremely cheap. So these big developers came in and bought up all the land they could, and then the recession hit, so then everything stopped. All the housing stopped. Right now we have 4 approved plans for housing. They're starting the one on the freeway on a ever drive by Chowchilla by the Save Mart there, for I think 23 houses there have been built and sold. You know, and the other side of the golf course is ready for development now. Glenn Pace had bought that 20 years ago, and he's been paying an exorbitant amount of property taxes just to hold on to it. And he donated land for a school there, so he's a great partner for the city. He loves the city. And once that's all developed out, it'll be housing with mixed uses of retail and parks, and so that's the future of Chowchilla.
That is great. Well, I can't wait to have you back and see, like, you know, every like year or so, and you see like where things grow. I really enjoy this. Thank you so much for coming on my show and explaining to the viewers how awesome Chowchilla is.
Yeah, it is a great place to live.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today. Okay, so when you were here last time, like 3 years ago in a wholly different studio, you were talking about a lot of improvements people can make in their homes to be energy efficient.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while now. So I've been around the Valley for a long time and doing energy consulting for a long time. So it's a lot of fun. I get to help a lot of people, and that's what I enjoy about it.
And I'm sure like every day you tell people things that they just don't know. And so they're like, wow, really? They could do this, that, and the other?
People don't realize just how amazing, how much money they can save, you know, on their energy bills and monthly costs. And right now, you know, 3 years ago, we didn't have a recession that we're going into right now. You know, prices of food weren't up like they are right now. So, and the price of energy has gone up a lot in 3 years. So we've got a lot to talk about.
A lot. Okay, so what's the new thing that you started? It's like a business pretty much doing what you always did, but a little different. So tell us what you're doing now.
So what I did for a long time is I worked for PG&E as a subcontractor.
Okay.
So I went out and did home energy education programs, helped people connect with free programs that were out there. Went to a lot of community groups and did education seminars. And then when COVID hit, that was all gone. So we had to come up with a plan B. And I'd already referred a lot of people to solar, to the solar world. And so I said, well, let's go do solar. I can do it virtually. I can work from home. And that worked out really well. But the piece that was missing was the whole education. And so, you know, solar, you walk in the door and they're expecting you to just tell them about solar, but they're missing that whole other piece that should happen before solar. So why are you spending all this money on going solar when maybe there's a lot of other things you could do in your home first?
Right.
So then I said, well, let's bring all that experience in. Let's put together a whole program that helps people understand their energy, make good habits and good changes first, and then we can talk about the solar add-on later. So that's what we did. We started a company called Go In All Electric. There you go.
I love that.
Yep.
Go in with the plug right there.
Yeah, go in with all electric. You know what's really cool? If you ever want design work done, go to freelancer.com. I put $50 in there. told them what I wanted, and I had 300 different logos.
No way.
Yeah. So if you ever need
And you
artwork
chose, I
done-
love that though. You chose a great one.
Yeah, so we went with that, and then and I just had another piece of artwork done. It's on the website, go-in.
Okay, so with your company now, Go In All Electric, so you're doing both. You're doing both the interior and the exterior with the solar. It's a one-stop shop.
Exactly. So, and we've made it virtual. So a lot of people are tired of sales guys knocking on the door and trying to push things and close things.
I think that's become a big...
Yeah, I mean, my house, I get 2 to 3 door knockers every week.
And you have solar, don't you?
No, we don't, because we rent right now. We're waiting to buy.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have a rental that we're about to put it on right now too. So, but it's, people are tired of that. But they don't know about the other side of energy, which could really help them. So we said, what can we do to make it non-threatening, make it educational?
What do you do?
Fun? So basically what we do now is we're creating partnerships with schools, with realtors, with air conditioning guys. If they refer us, that home will get a $25 gift card for us just walking in the door or calling them on the phone. And they have to share their PG&E bill with us, and they have to sit through a presentation.
And they get a gift card.
And they get a $25
to where?
Of their choice. Most people just ask for Visa cash card. So,
well, that's cool. I could listen to you for 25. Where's my gift card?
Yeah, exactly. Show me your PG&E bill. So, but
I love that. That's very smart. You're so smart.
It's just a simple way to say thank you for your time rather than everybody else banging on the door trying to squeeze and twist their arm and everything else. So we're very laid back.
So what's a big misconception when you go in there? What do people come at you with?
The biggest thing I'm hearing right now is federal tax credits because they're ending. They're coming to an end. So that's the biggest question. The other huge question is why are the rates going so high? So we talk about
the rates for solar?
For electricity.
Oh, okay, in general.
Why electricity rates going so high? How does that happen? Who allows it? That kind of thing. So that's all part of the education. So we sit down, the first thing we do, we just listen to them, find out what their story. Some people are mad as heck, and they just want to spill the beans and pour it out on me, and I just take all the shots, and then I tell them I'm the messenger, and we try to come up with a solution to help them. So.
Right, and I think I just heard one of my clients, because it affected me because their bill went like really high, so then they had to cut back on training. So when something affects me, I bring it to you. So they had said that they had just gotten solar. They wanted to go kind of all electric. They had an electric car. And I guess, I don't know if something wasn't clean. Something somehow got backed up or plugged within that. So then they weren't getting, the solar wasn't working correctly, and they were plugging their automatic, and then they had this like $1,700 bill from PG&E after they had just gotten their solar. So how does that happen?
So that's a great question. We hear that a lot too. Okay, if I go solar, I'm going to get 2 bills, one from the solar company and one from PG&E at the end of the year. So we have to educate people that is really an education on the solar sales guy's part.
So they messed up, and if you would have been there, you would have made sure that they would have known, so that they would have gotten in that pickle.
Well, and with all due respect to the solar industry, PG&E or the utility companies, not just PG&E, it's Southern California Edison, every company is monitored by the CPUC, the California Public Utility Commission. So that's who allows them to have the rate increases and things like that to cover fire costs, lawsuits, or whatever else. So a lot of solar sales guys 5 years ago didn't know about the changes that the PG&E has added to solar customers in the last 2 or 3 years. So they planned a solar system based on what the rules were back then, but now the rules have changed. So now PG&E is finding ways to make a little bit extra money, or the utility company, whoever it is. And so we now have to adjust what we're thinking about solar, because solar is not a 1-year project. It's a 25-year system.
Right, exactly.
So we have to look down the road, and that's why we start talking a lot more now about batteries. Batteries are a necessity now with a solar system.
So what does that mean?
It basically means that there's going to be things that the utility company is going to do to your rates to make sure that they make money back when you go solar. They're losing money. So they've got to figure out, okay, we're the Uber driver of solar, of energy rather.
Okay.
So we're delivering it to their houses. We're hosting their solar when it's made, their energy.
Okay.
So we're not going to do that for free. If we're losing their electric bill and the profits, we're going to find a way to make it up on the solar end.
Okay.
So that's what they're doing. They're implementing different strategic plots or plans.
So how do we not get screwed by that if we were getting solar?
You call Darren.
And then you tell us about the batteries and how not to get clogged up there and all that stuff.
Yeah, the biggest thing, like I said, is my approach is totally different. The last thing on my agenda when I talk to somebody is solar. Solar is the end result.
That's the end game. Out of everything, that's the last thing you do.
So everything we're doing here, this is go in all electric. We're talking to them about 25 years from now, what's your house going to look like? You're going to have electric stoves. You're going to have electric furnace. You're going to have an electric fireplace. You're going to have an electric water heater. You're going to have an electric car, because by 2030, we can't produce any more normal cars.
Right.
We have to go all electric. So people say, I'll never get one of those, but you won't be able to buy anything else.
You're going to have to.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so what about, like, I used a flat iron today. What's going to be the alternative to that? Blow drying my hair, what's going to be?
It's all electricity, so probably more energy efficient.
But would you do stuff on that too, right? Would you tell me, like, oh, when you're using this product, you're using this, and how I could kind of cut that back? Isn't that some of what you do?
Yeah, so some of the energy education, basically we start off in the house to talk about how many people live in the house, how long they've been here, how good the insulation is, how old the windows are, how old the roof is.
What we keep plugged in all the time.
How many things you have plugged in the wall. I mean,
whether or not we're using it or not, what's just plugged in.
Yeah, and one of the things I've got here that we hand to every customer is what we call a tips sheet. So there's actually 3 pages of tips for the customer to read through and say, okay, $2 a month every time I leave a plug plugged in, that's a lot of money. I do that times 20 plugs, that could be $40 of my expenses for my electric
But we
bill.
have to have our cable and our TV at all times.
We have to have
Who
all
plugs
stuff
that
plugged
in at, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you just have.
So there's always going to be some things that you're not going to unplug.
And you kind of go around the house and, like, why is this plugged in?
Yeah, exactly. We don't critique them, but we figure if we give them the information, they're going to make the choice about what they want to do with it. And they may adopt some of these things. Some families are really big. I didn't know that a ceiling fan was 5 cents versus my AC that's 50 cents an hour. So all of a sudden they start using their fans. A lot of people don't even know there's a little magic button on the top of your ceiling fan that changes direction for winter and summer. So it makes it more energy efficient if it's going the right way.
Wow.
So a lot of things that people just don't know. So you call us. We're the Ghostbusters of energy. We come in and we fix it.
What about if we have plugs that don't work? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, we're going to make recommendations. We don't do that work. We'd refer you to an electrician or somebody that's professional that does all that work. But we have contractors that we work with that'll do the HVAC system, replace out with a new all-electric one, or they've got these new heat pumps now. You don't even need an AC. What it does, it pumps out hot air at night and pulls in cold air, kind of similar to a whole house fan. So that's the newest thing that's going on right now. All electric, saves a lot of money. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that are out there. We put all the information together. We come into your home or by phone. We can sit down by the phone in 45 minutes. We can run through a really good overview of their home, give them an idea of what they're going to need to change their habits. And then when we figured out what their total electric usage is going to be, we're going to make that recommendation for solar as well, because it's half price. It's half the price of electricity with the grid.
And you don't do anything as far as water. So if people are overwatering their...
Actually, it's funny you bring that up, because one of the tips on the tip sheet is watering. So it's all about saving energy, saving the environment.
That's great. Okay, because I just got fake grass in that I paid like a fortune for, and I was thinking, why don't I get a tax break like you do when you go solar?
Yeah, and I don't know what tax breaks are out there on the lawns. You have to talk to those guys that do the lawns to put that in. I can tell you right now, I drive around my neighborhood, as you probably do, and half of the lawns are brown. People have given up. They've given up watering.
Well, that's part of why I did the fake lawn. I was like, it was an investment, but I felt like over time, and then I'm saving money by not watering, but then I just was kind of like, well, why aren't I getting a break on that? Because I did have an electric car for a while, and I got a break on that. So
I love doing gardens. I'm a gardener. I love having a beautiful garden with flowers. It takes water. And we're talking right now about when we get a new home, we're going to a desert landscape, rock and,
Right.
and those kind of things. So definitely there's so many things that we're having to do to change to the environment. A lot of people don't get into the whole green thing, but it's definitely changing. The world we're living in is changing.
But you do educate us to like what degree then about the water?
Yeah, there's some little tips on there about watering hours and how not to overwater a fescue lawn versus a hybrid Bermuda lawn. And
So those are the kind of things you go over with us.
Yeah. Just a lot of great education. Now, the other thing we're doing is we're going into the public forum with like realtors. Anybody that's in a home all the time or dealing with homeowners, what we do with them is we give them a little voucher. If you look on 2 more pages, there's a little voucher that we created that's actually at the printers right now. And one more. I brought you all kinds of
I'm
stuff.
glad this is good.
Yeah, a lot of this is at the printers right now, so we're literally going to print. But this is a voucher that the realtor can put their name and their referral name and number on there, so we know where it came from, and we give them credit for any solar or home energy item sale that was made in the sale. There's a little commission on that too. So we say a little thank you to them. So with a fundraiser, it can be up to $3,500 a home. So of a school, if you got 700 families in a school, let's say 10% are going to do solar in the next 5 years. That's 70 families, potentially times $3,500. So a lot of money on the table as well that we're willing to share back to the community to help encourage people to engage, have that conversation with us, and get their $25 gift card.
So, but then you will tell us too what we're going to do to avoid all the pitfalls. Like you said, everyone has to get their money, so they're trying to figure out how to get their money with PG&E, and how we're not going to get the tax breaks anymore with the solar. So what else can we anticipate?
So here's what I see, and again, part of my job is to look down 5-10 years from now, because that's really important. So we can kind of see the writing on the wall. There's an agreement called the NEM agreement, the Net Energy Metering Agreement, that PG&E puts out, or the utility companies put out for any solar company. In this area, it's PG&E.
Okay.
So that NEM outlines the terms and conditions of you being a solar customer and PG&E or your utility being your power broker, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
So that outlines the costs that they're going to pay you for extra energy, the costs you're going to pay if you pull back energy and you don't have enough on your solar system, what you're going to pay extra, and that becomes your true-up bill. So they're also outlining in there how much they're going to be willing to take back from your energy and host. They're going to minimize that, and hence the battery. They're going to talk about things like how much they're going to charge you per month to host your energy for you. Even things like they're going to limit the amount of energy and solar you can put on your roof, because they're getting to the point now where they don't want too much solar in the state of California because they've got to resell it. So there's a lot of things happening in the solar industry that we look at and say, okay, how is that going to change 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And if you're putting a system on your home that's 25 years old, that's going to last 25 years rather, what do we need to look out for to make sure that that system's going to be everything you need for 25 years?
So we can't, I thought we are going to go all solar one day, so we're all going to be, so they're going to have to figure out what to do in all of California.
Yep.
When it's 80% solar.
California right now is almost 25% solar.
Really?
In this valley, it's about 35% already. Nationwide, it's only 5%. So
California's done a good job.
California's done a great job. They're very forward-thinking on going green, environmental. They're the ones that have the initiative for EV vehicles in the state of California by 2030. So they're a little ahead of the federal government mandates for the rest of the country. I think that's 2050. So California's really pushing hard to get up and ahead of the game.
Okay, so where do we call you directly when we're not working through a middleman?
Best thing to do is go to our website, which is go-in.
So we're not even, I thought you were doing a number. I saw a phone number in here.
Yeah, I can put a phone number on there too. So 559-396-0653 will get right to us.
We have a lot of old people. They don't want to go online and do all that.
Call us.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, and that actually rings right through to my cell phone. So I take calls 9 o'clock at night sometimes. I'm answering the phone. If you're late and you're working a late shift and you want to call us because you see this, just give us a call. And if you're an early bird and you wake up and you're going to an early shift, call us at 6 o'clock in the morning. We'll do our best to help you.
And the biggest thing, though, and I'll warn everyone about, is to make an appointment with you, because I know they want to call and they want to ask 50 questions, and you're like, whoa, we're going to do all that. I mean, you probably are a little irritated about me asking questions you go through in there, but it's like, at least this gives them a taste of what they're going to get.
Yeah.
But you don't need to do that on the phone with everybody. You're just set up, so like an hour, 2 hours of their day to...
Yeah. We set aside 45-minute appointments for people that want to run through the whole
Okay, well, that's not bad at all.
No,
that's super easy. Okay.
Yep. And then if they want us in person, we can do that as well. So we're really
so
flexible.
sometimes it is just on the phone or virtual.
Sometimes just by phone, if that's what they're comfortable with.
Okay, so then they can't. Okay, well then they can make a phone agreement.
Yep.
So don't do it all that night. Just make another phone agreement for the 4th. That's perfect.
Yeah, we pull up Google. So we use Google Map to look at the outside of the house, and then we have them walk us through.
Perfect. So you have your view. You don't have to just take their information. You can see. That is so. Well, this is great. You're such a great. I love this.
Yeah, it's a different. We didn't want to be just the solar guys. We wanted to be all electric. So we called it Go In, or Going All Electric.
Do some people just stop at the in-house things and they're like, we don't want to get solar yet, though? Do people ever do that to you? And that's okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, everybody's on their own timeline.
Because sometimes people just want to do one step at a time.
Yeah, and I will say that I think the federal government will extend the tax credits for solar.
How can we fight that? Is there a way?
No, not really. I mean, it's the federal government, whoever's in office. So if they're green friendly and they see the rest of the country's at 5%, they're going to want to motivate the rest of the country to get there. So personally, I think it's going to extend out. Right now, you get 26% if you sign up for a solar system this year. You're getting a quarter of it back. And if you do it next year, it's 22%, so close to 1/5. So still good money back, but I think it's going to get extended.
So do you have a team of people that work with it? What if like 50 people see this and they want an appointment this weekend?
Yep, we have a whole
So you have
team
different people that can go. That's really awesome.
Absolutely. Yep. We'll take care of them.
That is so great. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. As we get more and more of this launch with realtors, we'll give you more updates and we'll start.
I'd love that. I'd love to have you back, honestly, like every 6 months to even talk about. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us on the show, and it's great talking to everybody. Give us a call.
I did not think you guys would show up. This is awesome.
Bricks beg to be perfect. They love to be assembled in beautiful geometry.
If you don't have the skills and the tools that I am willing to share with you, it's not going to be worth a damn.
It's probably why no one's been able to beat me. They're crippled by their own sense of inadequacy.
I see the Bricks pirate ship and I totally freak out.
When you get to build out of bricks, it is fun. It is a toy. It's also a medium. It's all together. I mean, why can't we have both? Why can't it be artistic and a toy?
Thanks for coming on my show, Justin. The first time I've had you on here.
I know. It's been a while that we've known each other and been talking about this, but, finally did it.
Well, you have a lot going on. Okay, so I didn't know about all these movies that you've done, because they were in the works for quite a while before I had even met you. So tell us about the two.
I was working on Brick Madness since 2009. So that's been a long time.
Why does it take that long to get things going?
I had a ton of things happen in my life, personal life, business life, whatever. It's always like when you're, what do they say, the cobbler with kids that don't have any shoes, that sort of old idea. It's like the mechanic who can't keep a car running. It's that sort of thing. So I'm making movies, working on TV shows, doing commercials, doing
I know
videos,
you're busy. I know you're a busy
all the
person.
time. Yeah, and then I go to make my own thing, and it's just like got to fit in those slots. I mean, even while we were making it, it's like we had camera operators and everything. Like, I can't be there today. I'm like, this is our biggest day, and they're like, yeah, I got another job. So like we filled it in with another thing. I wasn't mad at them, but it was like we had to fill it in with a different camera that day.
So 2009, and then when did it finally get made?
What did we put it out in 2018 in the theater, like local theaters? At Tower, I think it was 2018. At
That's
Tower.
a lot of years. People must have changed the way they look.
People died, like multiple people. Weren't even around anymore. So yeah, things changed.
I would have been so upset if if I died before my movie came out.
Yeah, I know. It was quite the turn of events.
Did it have a good success that you wanted it to have when it finally did come out?
I was very pleased with how it played locally and what we did at Edwards and at Tower Theater. That was awesome.
And where can we see it now?
It's on Prime, so on Amazon.
Whenever we can see it
for
right
sale
today.
on Amazon. Yeah. So that's one place. It's a couple other places. But
Everybody has Prime. Everyone has Prime, right?
Yeah, totally. And we sell, I still sell DVDs and Blu-rays through the website and all that. And we have like the Brickmaster edition. It's called Brick Madness. It's about Lego, more or less, but we don't call them Lego or anything. It's just about bricks. So we have the Brickmaster edition, which has all this other stuff that I made.
So what's the website? You said they can get it from the website.
If you just type in Brick Madness movie, you'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easy. It'll click you through to the distributor, and then you click and get it. It's pretty sweet. You even got like magnets and little minifigs and all sorts of stuff. It's fun.
Can we get a T-shirt too at the website?
I don't have a T-shirt. We have T-shirts that say Minions because that was one of the characters, and I had some of those, and then like some other goofy shirts that we made specifically for the movie, but those were one-offs. Yeah.
So what else? What was the other movie?
Better. So Eat, Think, Live Better. We partnered with a guy named Jonathan Baylor, and he is a world-renowned health expert when it comes to food and figuring out what is a healthy food to eat and how to keep yourself healthy in terms of that stuff. So we went to Harvard Medical School, talked to 4 Harvard doctors, talked to 35 diabetes sufferers, so diabetes and obesity, they're sort of comorbidities. They go along hand in hand.
So is this more of a documentary or is
totally not funny at all? Brick Madness is funny. This is a documentary. The other one is a fake documentary.
And you know what's interesting about this? I don't know if this happened with you, but this, because I'm in fitness, this usually pisses people off when you start telling people how to eat better. A lot of times it's kind of like, people almost, it's like, you're telling me to change my ways. Did you get any of that when you were showing it or no?
I sort of followed Jonathan's lead, and Jonathan's a super healthy guy, big muscles, doesn't hit the gym every day, is just like eats really well, and is very motivated to like keep that up. And so, but he was very good at not lecturing people, and so and he knows way more than I do, and so I just followed his lead, and I was like, I'm gonna let people. Here's information. This is like science still delivered. This is real, actual science behind all of this. He's a New York Times best-selling author. It's like, this is the real deal, and so if you follow this, it will work. But I can't convince you of that. Like,
right. So he probably kind of knew. He's been in for a while, so he probably heard a lot of people,
Sure, and just saying the opposite of what's true. I mean, people are going to believe what they're going to believe a lot of times, and so when you're talking about calories, people have very ingrained opinions of what a calorie is and how it works, and they're like, oh, the second law of thermodynamics and all this, and you're like, yeah, but calories don't work like math; they work like biology. Like, do you really think you could just drink 10 sodas a day and it would be as healthy as eating 5 salads or whatever? Like, you think that makes sense? And so I think there's some real big logical fallacies with how people have been bred, oftentimes by like big corporations and by the USDA and whatever it happens to be, to believe certain things that are just patently false.
How did it change your life, just being behind the scenes and doing all that? Because you're feeding it every day of like hearing all this stuff.
Yeah.
How did it change you?
It gives me something to talk about when people have questions about those things, and I understand it pretty deeply.
But it changed like your diet and like a lot of. I know you're a healthy guy, but
yeah, I think I've been healthy most of my life. I've been thin most of my life. I had a point where I was like 20, 30 pounds heavier than I am right now, and that was not necessarily because I didn't understand, but a lot of it was just because I was just eating trash a lot of times. When you're on set, you get free food all the time.
Oh,
and when you're done for the day, you go out and you eat, and you're at a nice restaurant, and I'm just,
I think I saw you do something weird and gross one day. You had cookies that were like, that you found that were like in a bag in like a backpack, and then you like whipped out like old.
We did a goofy short. We did a goofy short one time, and we ate dog food. That was the thing. That was funny, and that was legit. Anthony Taylor and I actually like ate some of the dog food.
What did it taste like?
It was pretty funny. Bad refried beans with meat, just like with ground beef, and it was just sort of gross. It was, I literally just poured salsa in my mouth right after, so it sort of dissipated.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It was a fun little short we did for the Germ, which is a thing that Winsong Productions puts on. So
are they gonna have that again? Now that you speak of it,
you know what? I haven't talked to Sarah or Byron specifically about that, but they definitely put it down for a while because of COVID.
Right.
And I think it'll be back eventually. It was a fun thing to do, and it gave us an outlet that we didn't often pursue because we sort of like had to do one because we were part of the thing, and especially they'd be like, oh guys, we only have like 7 this month. You guys gonna make one? And we're like, crap, okay. And so we'd whip one out the night before, that sort of thing. But that was fun, you know. They're like low stakes, but you get something fun out of it.
So where can we see Better? Where can we purchase
Better
that?
is, so it's not on as many, it's on more platforms, but it's not on like as easy for some people. But if you go to Apple, so any iTunes, any Apple-based thing, or any Google Play-based thing, it's easy to get, and you can watch it on YouTube as well.
Oh, that's great, because I'll refer my clients to that. They always want to know some stuff.
Better is excellent advice for a variety of things, and it deals with shame and like the depression of being heavy and how diabetes affects your life and those types of things. So we come at it from sort of that perspective of, because we're interviewing. I interviewed 35 people that a dozen of them were just bawling, like crying, like they'd never talked about this.
So that was really good. So you guys put it out in a really nice way. That
I hope so. We were trying to not take advantage of, like, hey, look at these overweight people. Here's what they're doing wrong. Like, how are you going to get that to work? Obviously. So we were trying to like understand from other people's perspective. I haven't dealt with it in the same way that you know, most people have in that position at all. It was very interesting to hear them and heartbreaking, but also important for the journey of the movie to be able to get behind that. But then just to be able to like understand discreetly, explicitly, like what is a healthy food? And that's just a question most people can't answer. They just don't know what that means, and they don't have criteria in their mind to base that on. And so that's what we offer. And I'm going to tell you, like, the movie's not the most exciting movie because we were trying our best not to have we were always focusing on content and like useful, helpful, actual good information over anything else. You know, so that's really our goal. We want people to walk away from it being like, oh, I could eat these 12, 25, 35 things, like that's what my diet could consist of, and I would be golden. That's really what we wanted.
Wow, that's great. What was some of the feedback that you got from that?
You know, I think a lot of good feedback for sure. But I also think people are reductionist in that they watch something and then they're like, oh, that was just the same he had at TEDx. Or like, it's the same as his TEDx. And I'm like, there's like 100 other things in here that are different than the TEDx. I know the TEDx. Part of the TEDx is in the movie and his TED Talk. And there's just so much more deep information about how the mechanisms work and how the body actually works and how your brain, gut, and hormones affect calories and how they affect how it's stored and what it does to your psyche and how it plays with your psychology and you know, all these things that are so much more complex than we give them credit for. Yeah.
That's cool. So what are you doing now? What's the next thing?
I don't know if this is going to come to pass, but in the last week or so I've wanted to do a documentary about nuclear power. Like, I'm really into that right now. So that's what I would like to do next, because I think there's a Diablo Canyon reactor that is the last remaining one in California. I believe the last remaining, there might be one more.
Wow.
But anyway, the last remaining one in California, and it would be really sort of disastrous if that went offline in the next couple of years, which is what it's quasi-slated to do. So if we could keep that running for another 10 years, 20 years to keep the baseline load where it's at, then that would be great, because renewables are not the only answer. They can't be, unless we just completely revolutionize battery storage and find all the crucial elements to do that and get off of what we have to get from China and India and these other places to make them work. And like, there's just it's a boondoggle of extra issues that we still need our base load. We still need that when it is nighttime, when it is cloudy, when the wind is not blowing, when those things happen, you need to be able to sustain. And right now we know for a fact if we take down Diablo Canyon, we're just going to be pumping coal or natural gas. Like, that's what fills in. Every time a nuclear reactor goes down, natural gas comes in. And it's not like, it doesn't just magically get taken over by solar or whatever. Solar, I love. It's on my house. Wind, awesome, no problem. But they're not base load.
Right. Well, that would be really fascinating if you do that.
Yeah, I don't know how to change people's opinions about that. And it's supposed to be a documentary. I'm like, I'm trying to make something, so I got to hear both sides. Like, I have to, I've already sort of made up my mind, but that's a terrible place to be.
Right. I mean, that's,
I have to go out and figure out what, I have to steel man the other side. I have to say, like, oh, they're right. I was totally wrong. Here's why. But hopefully come up with a good answer that makes the most sense for mankind.
I do that on the side of all the things that you do, all the video production you do.
Also shoot a lot. Yeah.
So how can people hire you if they want to hire their videos being shot?
Go to blairmedia.net. That's the easiest way. So if you go to blairmedia.net, you can find what work I've done, what work we've done. If you are a video production person, you can go to shoots.video. That's one of our websites which we hire people from, and people all over the country get hired through shoots.video. So that's another thing that my partner Blake Barnett has been working steadily and diligently on for years now. That's a big deal. But yeah, just find me. If you type in Justin McAleese, I'm like the first 5 pages of Google because no one has my name.
Really?
So I'm pretty easy to find.
Oh, that's awesome. I never knew no one had your name. It's like me.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone. There's a guy that was the son of a prime minister in Ireland that is spelled differently. But that's as close as it gets.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, and then you guys are pretty quick and efficient. When it comes to getting a video, I've always thought, I mean, you're like actually one of the most efficient time.
Oh, like, for being on set.
From the moment we're not getting it to the client, I figured you were too. Because if you're that proficient on set, I figured you'd be that proficient getting it.
No. I'm just saying that's the part you see, right?
That's the part I see.
Yeah, no.
But I assumed it was both ways, like getting the product to the.
Yeah. We don't get phone calls from people being like, "Hey, where's my video?" It's been 6 months.
Because even when you book talent or whatever, it's usually like. Not last minute, but like within a week, 2, and then it's done, and then it's shot, and then it's boom, boom. So
I think it's easier to keep it that way. I think you want to keep.
Well, that's what everybody wants, but it doesn't.
You want to keep everything moving, and you don't want to have to reschedule, and you want to set it up to where everyone's happy and they get in and out, and hopefully you get paid that day. Maybe you get a check or cash, and it's like you're done. That's really what's better about it. And also, I don't want to I think a lot of people at some point want to make their job bigger, more important, more difficult than they want to, than it needs to be, and so they want to get 15 close-ups of you when they only need 2.
Right.
It's like at some point you just got to know exactly what you want.
Because you've been doing this for a while, so you don't really do that waste of time chunkage.
I try not to, certainly. I think that there's a good way to approach most of that stuff, and no matter what we're doing, and we're making a lot of times we're trying to make art in one way or another. But still, it's like there's a canvas. I know what size the canvas is. Why am I painting for a 12-foot canvas when my canvas is this big?
Right, and then
let's start filling it in.
You work with other people too. That's what I like when you were telling me how you do work with the other production companies. So sometimes it's moving parts. So it's a really good.
Yeah, we do a lot of work with Windsong Productions. My buddies over there, and we're real close, and we. Sort of make it work.
Well, it's good to have a strong, large network, because then you don't have the person well, I know a guy there, I can go get this camera, I can go get this person, I can go get.
I try to know everyone in town who can use a C-stand or run a camera. Yeah. I try.
You never know when you're going to need.
We were, a couple times this year, I'm 30 people down on a list. Legitimately 30 people down and not available, can't, this thing, out of the country,
so
whatever.
Stressful. I'm COVID, so.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, this is how we're gonna do this. It's gonna be, but hopefully you keep the talent pool deep enough and enough people are working and staying busy so that they're at a level to where you're comfortable having them on set with you. And trying to help people and let them learn, and I have no secrets of what we do. It's there's no secret sauce to me. I'm look at this thing. There's a Beastie Boys quote, and it's I had a million thoughts that I ain't even thought yet. And it's that's what I like to think is once I do something, I'm okay, here, anyone copy, I don't care, because I want to be able to do more. Because once it's out there, then it's no longer mine, and then I have to come up with something new. That's a good motivational thing for me, So, anyway.
Thank you so much for coming on my show. Everyone's got to follow Justin McAleese on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, at Justin Makes Movies. Justin Makes Movies.
At Justin Makes Movies on Instagram and then Facebook, because he's the only Justin McAleese in the world. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today. Okay, so tell us what Freedom Party 2022 is. And I love the flyer, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
I feel like this is like Star Wars today. I love it.
No, thank you. I appreciate that you get it. I actually did the graphic design. I was just explaining to someone that I'm neither a professional videographer or photographer or graphic designer, but I dabble in all those things because I'm the executive director of the Central Valley Justice Coalition, and we are an anti-human trafficking nonprofit.
I love that.
And our goal is to prevent people from ever becoming slaves or being exploited through education, partnership, and outreach. And
how did you get involved in that?
I was a pastor. I've been a youth pastor and a college pastor and a community outreach pastor, and When I heard that that human trafficking wasn't just something that happens in Thailand or in the Ukraine or in these kind of exotic, far-off locations, when I realized that people were being exploited right here in the Central Valley, I felt like I needed to do something.
And you have a daughter, so
I do.
At that age,
I know.
It's so sad.
I know, and trust me, she's tired of watching all of the videos and going through all the educational materials, and tired of me talking to her about online safety and all those things that we do. But yeah, it's really important. We're 100% privately funded by businesses and individual donors. And so we're doing this show with Shep's Club. Shep's Club used to be called, I think, the Basque Inn. It's by the Amtrak station. It's actually only a block down from our office. Our office is in Historic Warehouse Row now for the Justice Coalition, and we're working with Love the Captive, who Johnny Q is a great friend of mine. We used to play in punk rock bands together at the same time 20 years ago. He's a legit great concert promoter. So he's donating his services. All of these bands are playing for free.
Well, my cousin's part owner of the Sheps.
Of Sheps, okay. So yeah, Sheps is donating the venue.
He's part of Strummers too, so that's probably what some of the bands.
The bar is going to be open, and we're going to have Fresno Street Eats out there. They're helping us promote it and partner with it at the same time.
This is going to be a good party,
and it's a really diverse lineup. So you mentioned about the art. I was thinking, what would the future look like to me if it was 1985? So that was the idea for the concept, and our theme really for this party and really for our fall fundraising through something we call Freedom Fund is that the future belongs to all of us. And so we think that no one should be left out of being able to make decisions for themselves. No one should be controlled by another person or group of people and enslaved and exploited. And so human trafficking at its very basic nature is the exploitation of one person's vulnerability for another person's profit. And so we want to prevent that, and we want to prevent it before it happens. So in our industry, in the anti-human trafficking community, sometimes a lot of attention gets paid to rescues, which are really important. I don't want to discount the importance of rescues, and we're a part of a big, broader community effort that includes the police and Homeland Security organizations like Fresno EOC, Central Valley Against Human Trafficking, like my great friend Deborah and Tiffany from Breaking the Chains, and they are providing direct services and housing programs for women who are coming out, and women and men who are coming out of trafficking situations, and all of that is hugely important. But our goal, our kind of piece of the puzzle, is to work on preventing it before it happens. And so there's a quote that's attributed to Ben Franklin, and it's that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so that's what we're operating off of. We want to get information into people's hands, and we also, because human trafficking is such a dark and intense topic, can be really overwhelming to me, we thought that we want to have a party because the future belongs to all of us.
No, that's really well said. And so this group, if someone wants to just donate money and not there, where
they can go to our website, justiceco.org.
So justicecode.org.
Yeah, justicecode.org, www.justicecode.org. There's links to not just donate, but also to get educated. So we have a class that's accredited through Fresno Pacific University Center for Distance Learning. It works for CEUs for people who are nurses. Foster parents and other areas of vocation or volunteer service where people need to get those education credits. And we get out and train doctors and residents at UCSF, apartment managers. We work with like I said, foster parents, CASA advocates. We're involved in so many different areas in terms of educating people.
That is so great that you guys do this. So I really appreciate you coming out today and sharing.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited about this lineup. It's got everything from modern country to like dark wave, synth, dance pop.
So we got 5:30 p.m. We're gonna have
soul.
Food and alcohol.
Right, food and alcohol. It's all shaded, so it will all be shaded.
Food, alcohol, and live music is great for me. Is it all outdoors or half and half?
So the bar will be open inside, and we'll make sure that the music is also inside.
Because I remember it's kind of like it's compartmentalized a little bit.
Right, yeah. So there's an area that's, and let me just plug Shep's Coffee Shop, which is open during the week. It's amazing. We go there all the time. They have great baristas who are making all the espresso based drinks and all that stuff. That will also be happening, and then the bar will be open, and there's going to be great food trucks out there. and everything from R&B soul to indie rock to my friend Johnny Q DJing, and then also modern country, Dakota Crossing.
How late does it go till?
It's going to go till about 11:30. Yeah.
Perfect. That's my kind of party.
Yeah, and tickets are $20 right in early bird tickets, which are expiring very soon, and then $25 is just at the door.
That's fine.
Which I think is like what we also wanted to do is do something different. So I go to a lot of banquets and I love them, but you know we think it's a great value compared to the $75 a plate banquet.
Right.
You're gonna be able to come out and listen to live music and have a great time, and you know bring your family and friends.
Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh I must confess dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.